You know that feeling when you cancel plans and suddenly you can breathe again? But instead of asking why you needed that relief, you just call yourself flaky. What if that relief is trying to tell you something? Today we're getting into the minds of people who genuinely love being at home, not the ones hiding from the world, not the ones too anxious to leave, but the ones who look at their empty Saturday and think, wow, this is perfect. Here's where it starts. Not everyone's nervous system runs on the same fuel. Extroverts pull energy from movement, people, and noise. Every party is a recharge. But for a significant portion of the population, that same environment is a drain. Psychologists describe this through something called optimal arousal theory. Every person has a threshold, cross it, and you're overstimulated. Stay below it, and life feels manageable, even good. For people who love home, that threshold sits lower. And that's not a flaw in the system, that's just how their system runs. But here's what makes it more interesting than just introversion. It's not only about energy levels, it's about control. When you're outside, the world runs the show, unexpected noise, forced conversations, plans that shift at the last minute, strangers who take up too much space physically and emotionally. You can't adjust any of it, but at home, you control the temperature, the lighting, the soundtrack, the pace. For sensitive or anxious people, that control isn't a preference. It's a psychological necessity. Without it, the mental load gets heavy fast. And then there's the creativity thing, which most people don't expect. Studies consistently show that people who spend meaningful time in solitude tend to score higher in creative thinking and problem solving. Not because being alone magically unlocks genius, but because stillness creates the conditions for deep thinking. Your best ideas usually don't show up in crowded rooms. They rather show up in the shower or on a slow morning during a walk nobody else knew you were taking. Now, there's also a version of this that's less comfortable to look at. Some people stay home not because it feeds them, but because leaving feels genuinely impossible. Social anxiety that's grown quietly over time, a form of depression that disguises itself as preference, maybe a past that made the outside world feel unsafe. For these people, home isn't a sanctuary, it's where they're stuck. The difference matters because one is a lifestyle and the other is something that deserves real attention. If you recognize this pattern, I want you to ask yourself this. Does being home fill you up, or does it just protect you from something you haven't dealt with yet? But for the people who truly love being at home, and trust me, there are a lot of them, home is their whole world. They have built rituals that most people overlook. The specific mug for the specific morning drink, the corner of the couch that's been quietly claimed for years, the evening routine that has a texture to it. They have built comfort that doesn't need to be explained to anyone. Psychologists describe this as low stimulation preference, and what it means in practice is that their internal world is rich enough that external entertainment becomes optional. They're not bored at home, they're totally satisfied. Society still has trouble with this, though. There's a whole culture built around going out, showing up, being seen. The message underneath everything is that a meaningful life is a busy, social, outward-facing one. But that's one version of a meaningful life. But it is not the only way to have a meaningful one. Choosing a quiet evening over a packed event isn't a sign of something missing. For some people, it's the gentle act of finally listening to themselves, choosing peace over pressure and self-respect over expectations. So if you're someone who turns down invitations without apology, someone who finds more comfort in familiar walls than in new places, and someone who feels most like yourself when no one's watching, then you're not behind nor broken. You have just figured out where your energy actually comes from, and that is something very few people manage to do. The tough question isn't why you love being at home, though. It's whether you've made peace with it. If you've truly stopped waiting for the version of yourself that wants to go out more. Because for some people, that version is never coming. And that's not a loss. That is a blessing. So tell me, are you genuinely at peace when you are being home? Or are you still convincing yourself that you should want something different? Please share your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, if you find it fascinating to uncover the psychology behind who you are, especially the parts you didn't even realize existed, make sure to subscribe.